There is no question about it. We live in a divided world. It seems that political lines have woven their way through every single issue, every single conversation in the world today. And social media has not made this better. In fact, it seems to be one of the most divisive inventions of our time. So, how do we raise children to follow Jesus Christ when everything else seems so divided? How do we raise up and disciple our kids in this fractured nation? That's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. But if this is your first time tuning in, I'm Ben Martin. I'm a pastor at Pioneer Memorial Church on the campus of Andrews University. And in this podcast, we talk about how to disciple our kids, how to lead our kids to Jesus Christ. This is tips, tricks, how to do that, and would love to have you join our community here. So if you would like to be a part of what we're doing, click subscribe. Now, let's get into this. I think the first thing that we have to be open and honest about is if we're going to be raising children in a political world, we have to understand that whether we intend to or not, we're passing on our political views to our kids. Whether you're talking about it openly or not, they're picking it up. In fact, one of the clearest ways to determine who the next president is going to be is they have elections in elementary schools, and who wins there wins the nation. Because you see, our kids know how we're voting, and they tend to vote exactly the same way. Now, you might hear that and say, well, that's great news. I want to pass on my beliefs to my kids. I want to pass on not only my religious beliefs, but also my political views. I want them to do that because I thought them through, and I think that's what's best for them. And that might be true, but I want us to take a step back. I want us to pause and think about this. What exactly are our political views, and are those the things we want to be passing on? So, in this episode, let's get into that a little bit. So, first of all, we tend to elevate our side and demonize the other. We tend to bring morality into our politics and say, okay, I believe this aligns most with who God is, and so therefore my views are morally superior to yours. And in doing so, we have demonized the other side. Be careful with that. Be careful with that, because as soon as you have somehow inserted Jesus into your political party, and therefore he can't be in the other political party, you have politicized Jesus himself, which is something Jesus didn't do while he was here. We often talk about the fact that Jesus sort of avoided politics. That's not actually what happened. Jesus had his own politics that didn't work with any of the ruling political parties, and so this is why he was killed, because he wouldn't conform to the established parties of that day. We too should not be conforming to either political party. We shouldn't be Republican or Democrat. In fact, we should be, as Christians, finding our own, this is where I stand. And maybe on one issue it's here, and another issue it's here. And voting our conscience, who we believe is best to lead this nation, who we believe is best to lead our communities. It's not always going to line up perfectly with a political party, whether we want to admit it or not. You see, we need, as Christians, to stop trying to define ourselves by a political party. I'm going to say that again. You shouldn't be defined by a political party. You're allowing politicians to set those boundaries of what you believe and who you are when you allow yourself to be defined by a political party. Instead, I want to raise children who are defined by the fact that they are children of God. First and foremost, they follow him. Is this me saying no, not to vote? Absolutely not. I think that we do have an important voice to bring into this conversation. We should be pushing back. We should be helping shape the way this country goes. But I want us to be the ones shaping, not us the one being shaped. I want to raise children who are thinking critically, questioning, pushing back, and continually following Jesus, not a political party. Because after all, we're voting for a president, not a savior. Let's not get that mixed up.